you know. And when I met my wife, I was so in love with her, still am. But, you know, uh, that feeling of the first time you fell in love, that's what you should have when you decide you're going to do something. If you don't have all of that, then you're out of that. You're living in fear.
And I guess just before you go, Jim, obviously, you know, we've talked about your career, and I mean, it's such an amazing story, I've got to say. I've been absolutely so happy to have you on the channel. And I just wondered if there's any other key messages from across all of your work, whether it be the seminars or the books. You know, are there any key messages that you would want to give the viewers of the channel that, you know, if they're watching this, let's say that they want to make that change in their life, to really start living a purposeful life, whether that be to achieve more money, or whether that to just get fulfillment, or get something in their life they haven't got. What key messages would you have for them?
Okay, that's a good question. I wrote a quote of mine many years ago, and then I'll tell you what it means. And it went like this: if you do what you do with love, you'll eventually have only what you love in your life. So, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean you got to love what you're doing, but do what you do with love. So, after I wrote that, I kept looking at it, and then a friend of mine called me, and he said, we did a lot of conversing back and forth. We'd exchange a book or something, and or recommend one, and he'd say, "Hey, I'm on page 88. What? Go there and let's talk about this." You know, so we kind of conversed back and forth. So he called me one day and he said, "Jim," he said, "what do you think the word resourceful means?" I said, "I don't know, man. I never thought about it, but," I said, "I guess maybe being creative or being more productive, or you know, using your imagination." I said, I guess, you know, that sounds reasonable to me." And he said, "Yeah, it's just an interesting word." And we talked on about something else, and then that was it. So I get home and I kept thinking about the word resourceful. I don't know why, it just kept popping in my mind. And so I uh, got home, and it's been years ago. So I looked it up in a dictionary, and resourceful was defined as once again full of source. So resourceful, once again full of source. I go, wow, that's an interesting definition. And then I looked up the key word in there, source, and it says where all things originate, not some things, but all things. So, you know, you could define source however you want to define it. You know, you're probably thinking what that might mean, you know, right now. Could it mean all things originate out of the universe, or God, or Buddha, or whatever? You know, all things originate in source. So I found that really fascinating. And I kept looking for another definition of source. And I looked for it for almost 2 years. And I was actually in England. Have you ever been to the little village or city, Chester?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Loved that town. I was there for a few days and on a tour that I was doing. And I was walking down the street, and there was a little alleyway, and I saw a sign that said antique bookstore. And I was always kind of intrigued by old books. I've got a lot of old books, and how they were written back then and stuff. So I went into the back door, and first thing I see is a dictionary about this thick. And it has a sign on it, do not open, do not touch. And I'm going, that's probably for people that live here in the UK, probably not about me. So I carefully opened the book to the S's and looked up source. And it had a few definitions, and I found the one that says where all things originate. And then there was something about the origin of the word. And then I see one right after that. It said source, love, defined as love. Wow. Resourceful is once again full of love. And then I thought, well, okay, if that's where all things originate, in love, so when you decide fully that you're going to do something in your life, you fall in love with it. You're inspired. You have passion about it. Just like if you can think about, the first relationship you ever had, or, I remember when I was 14, I fell in love with this girl and I didn't think I could live my life without her. And then she broke up with me and I was devastated, just devastated. But I was so in love with her, and when I met my wife, I was so in love with her, still am. But, that feeling of the first time you fell in love, that's what you should have when you decide you're going to do something. If you don't have all of that, then you're out of that. You're living in fear. So do what you do with love, and you'll have only what you love in your life. It means you're planting the seed of that decision in love, where all things originate. Then I had to take it to the next step. I said, okay, if all things originate in love, where does fear come from? And it didn't take me long to figure that one out. I thought, it originates in love. It's love presenting you fear, saying, if you take care of this, you can have more of me. If you handle what I've just given you, you can have more of me. You can have more of what you want in your life if you handle that fear. So it's love presenting you, getting you to move to the next level, experience a little pain. So that's what I would leave you with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that. I might have to take a trip up to Chester when lockdown's over. See if I can find that bookshop.
Yeah, it's been years ago, a lot of years ago. So maybe it's still there. I'd love to go back and see it. I love that little town though. They had what was called the new no, the Blue Moon Cafe, that was built in 50 AD. And I'm 6'4". The doors going into this place were like 5'6". I literally had to duck down and go through the doors, and there were big old beams and stuff. And I got to know the owner of it. And I mean, we don't have any structures in the U.S. It's that old. We haven't been here that long. But he said, yeah, the place is haunted also. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, we lock up every night. The next morning we come in, everything's rearranged. I said, every night? He said, yep, it's always rearranged. Tables are moved, chairs are moved, stuff like that. I'm going, wow. So anyway, I love that place. Great food too, if you go there, if it's still there.
I'll check that out. I'll check that out. And
Yeah.
I guess the final thing to ask you, Jim, is you're obviously very active and you got so much stuff on. What's next for you? What are we going to see you doing next? Have you got any new books on the go, or have you got any new projects?
No, I haven't thought about the next book. I mean, when I wrote my first book, I thought I put everything I knew into it, and now here I'm 15 books later. So I'll get an inspiration one day, or may never write another book. I don't know. But my one before these last two I wrote is I have 6 sons, and the book is what I've learned from my 6 sons, which is a pretty cool book too. A lot of great info in that one from a kid's point of view. But I don't know. I mean, I want to get back where I'm doing live events again. In-person events. I do a lot of stuff online today, but it's not the same. You don't have that connection where you can hug somebody and look at them straight in the eye and feel their energy and stuff. So looking forward to that, and hopefully that'll happen this year later. And this, I've got some focus on this collaborative book series with Kevin Harrington, and that's going really well. And I think it's helping a lot of people, not only the people that have written chapters within the book, but helping people that read it. It's very, very inspiring, because every chapter is a different topic, and every topic you could pretty much relate to in your life, whether it's talking about leadership or health and wellness, or mindset or whatever it might be. It's not about your profession, but how they achieved what they achieved and their philosophy. You can always pick up little tidbits of things in every chapter. So that's pretty inspiring. We're hoping that's helping a lot of people out there.
That's great. And thank you so much, Jim, for your time today. And I hope, I'm, like I said to you before we started recording, I'm going to come out to California next year. So I hope you let me take you for a beer. And thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely fantastic to meet you.
And we have cold beer out here, not warm beer.
I'll be up for some of that. Yeah, no, thank you so much. And to everyone watching the channel today, thanks to Jim Britt for joining us. Absolutely fantastic talk today. Make your life a masterpiece, my friends. Go out and execute, do whatever you need to do to get where you're going. And we'll see you next time on the Success Mindset YouTube channel. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.